Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
More like pay a while and listen. You shouldn't play Diablo Immortal. It needs to fail. It's time for another episode of corporate hobgoblins dragging Blizzard's name through the mud and shitting all over my childhood. This time around, they brought the Diablo franchise straight to the money transfer machine in your pocket, where your month's rent money being gone is just a tap away. Okay, let's get real, guys. We all knew this was going to happen. We know the mobile gaming market is like this. It was always going to be a microtransaction hellhole. But even if we expected that, Blizzard still managed to make it worse than I was expecting. I was expecting AIDS, but Blizzard gave me cancer. Obviously, the microtransactions are very bad, but the game itself is not a good Diablo game. A lot of people are saying that the game is good, but they always phrase it in a certain way that roughly translates to "it's good for a mobile game." Yeah, that's not hard. Going through the mobile gaming space is like going through the garbage dump to look for a functional couch. You find it, and it's a very low quality couch with a lot of problems, but it's better than the other garbage around it. When you say it's good for a mobile game, you are saying, yeah, this couch is better than the couch with cum and poop stains on it. To be fair, the first 30 or so levels of Diablo Immortal are fun, because that is like the bait on this fishhook. It looks good, like watching the monk punch dudes looks really good. And the impact on the hits feel good, and there are good controls, but there is one huge issue I have with it that even completely on its own would still make Diablo Immortal not a good Diablo game. And that is level scaling. The level scaling means that you never actually feel progress. It means that the mobs in the first leveling area take the same amount of time to kill as the mobs in the last leveling area. You level up and get new gear, it looks like you're making progress, but you don't feel it, except for getting new abilities and maybe the abilities changing with legendary gear. Progressing is what Diablo is all about, whether it's being able to take on harder and harder enemies or making the current enemies easier and easier. In Diablo Immortal, it's always the same, at least in my experience. There is no up or down, just a flat line, which means the game just gets boring. But the combat does feel good. So how can the game be boring if the combat is good? Well, I think it would be stupid to say that it's because the combat is simple. Diablo 2 combat is simple, but it's still fun even if I'm only really using one ability regularly. I've already kind of given you the answer, but the answer is challenge. You are never really challenged in Diablo Immortal. It's a flat line, always the same, so you never get challenged, and you never get the full-fledged power fantasy. Hello friends, it's Postscript Brian here. I want to add a little more here to this point, because I've been playing Diablo 3 and Diablo 2, and in a lot of ways Diablo 3 and Diablo Immortal fall into this flat line. But I will say that Diablo 3 gives you way more moments of oh fuck, half my HP is gone in one hit, and with Diablo 3 you can raise the difficulty, you can challenge yourself while leveling, and Diablo Immortal doesn't do that. Diablo 2 does it the best. Regular enemies can fuck you up if you aren't on top of your game. And if you see an elite enemy, you are gonna have to raise your game. That way, it feels way better when you take them out. But in Immortal, you can mostly just hold down the auto attack button and you will be fine. You can say that the raids are challenging, and I mean, I guess. You're just dumping a lot of damage into them and dodging like one AoE, and occasionally an attack you couldn't see kills you. But sure, challenging. They probably did the level scaling because of the MMO aspect, and I do get why they did it. I understand why. Since a player at level 28 and a player at level 60 would be grinding the same place, you have to level scale so they both get something out of that area. But it makes the game less fun. There are 4 points in the campaign where the game completely stops being fun. And those are the points where the campaign says, hey, fuck you. You wanna play more of the campaign? Then grind up to level 50 or 56 or whatever. And those points are a sneak peek of what the end game is. Grinding rifts and dungeons endlessly with no real reward. I mean, unless you fork up some dollars for those sweet, sweet crests. The only way to get good loot regularly is paying for it. Or you can grind for it for 3 years for free. Yay! There are also daily caps on free-to-play grinding, so yeah, this game is just ridiculous. There are 8 bounties a day, which are alright, I guess, for the XP at least, but I mentioned about the game being simple, and sure, you could make the argument that the combat is rather simple, but Diablo Immortal is not a simple game at all. In fact, it is disgustingly overcomplicated. You have to keep track of at least 20 currencies or resources, 2 battle passes because 1 wasn't enough, a bottomless pit of daily stuff to do, a never-ending wall of things to buy in the store, and then which legendaries you have on, and the gems, and which upgrades you have, and how many runes you will need to upgrade or craft more gems. You also need to do your guide missions, activity missions, and the quests which will take you into the warbands, and the clans which have their own stuff you need to do. By the way, it costs $10 to make a clan. Jesus Christ. And then the cycle of strife or whatever it's called, which is the PvP thing, and oh my fucking god. You know how everyone and their distant cousin has been complaining about systems in World of Warcraft. Diablo Immortal is the absolute hell nightmare of those systems, because it feels like every single corner of this game has a new system to keep track of. I fucking can't deal with this quote-unquote game. Chris Wilson was right.
And we're ignoring the fact that Diablo Immortal comes out in a few weeks, by the way, guys. That's not a game. We're going to play Path of Exile.
Diablo Immortal isn't a game. It is a money extraction software. The illusion of a game here is just bait on a fishhook. And if you're having fun with a game, well, good for you. And I'm sorry that you have such poor taste. All you had to do was make Diablo 3 on mobile, or port Diablo 2 to mobile, and you would have made money and people would have been happy. But no, you couldn't do that. You had to do every awful mobile game shit out there. Look, okay, to the people that like Diablo Immortal and to the developers, let me extend an olive branch. I am sure that a lot of the developers wanted to make a good game, but hey, you sold out. A developer had to make all the systems and terrible microtransaction stuff. Bobby Kotick certainly didn't make them. I know there is a good game buried somewhere under all this terrible shit, but I don't have faith that Blizzard will put in the effort or have the sense of common decency and morality to dig it up. Because hey, you gotta make money, even if you prey on the weak. Kids and people with a mental sickness, such as a gambling addiction or just very poor impulse control. Hey, postscript Brian 2. So I feel like I need to add a little more to the whole pay-to-win aspect. To put it shortly and simply, you get way better gear if you pay, and the word on the street is you can't get some gear without paying. And gear matters in PvP, so it is absolutely pay to win. A free-to-play player is most likely going to lose a fight against a credit card swiper. I don't want to go too deep into how bad the microtransactions are, and will instead recommend videos later if you want to know how deep this rabbit hole goes. In short, Blizzard and NetEase did every predatory mobile gaming microtransaction tactic and went even further than the norm, which is obviously awful. And the important predatory tactics that they use, in my opinion, is fear of missing out. The Boon of Plenty does that by forcing you to log in every day. And the other tactic is like confusion. Like to buy a clan, you have to pay with platinum, and you need orbs to buy platinum. So you're going through these two currencies to make you lose track of how much you're spending, which is just awful. And by the way, your purchases are character bound, not account bound. So if you buy a battle pass, it will only be available to the character you were logged in on when you bought it, which is just completely fucked. I wish the old farts in the governments of the world would just keep up with the times and ban these awful and morally bankrupt practices. But government is slow, but at least Belgium and the Netherlands have gotten there. Spain is apparently doing something. Hopefully that has an impact and the bill passes. You shouldn't play Diablo Immortal. It needs to fail to send the message that we don't want this shit and we won't put up with it. If you really want an ARPG on your phone, then I've played Titan Quest on mobile and it works great, and it's an actual video game that you just buy and play. But if you do play it, then don't use cloud saves because they break. Or if you really want the Diablo experience you can take with you and you own a Nintendo Switch, then get the Primeval Collection, which gives you Diablo 2 Remastered and Diablo 3 Eternal Edition, or whatever it's called. That's what I did. I've been playing Diablo 2 on the Switch. It's pretty damn good. I can't put it away. I am addicted to it to an unhealthy degree. I don't know what to say about Blizzard at this point. It's not the company I fell in love with. I want a divorce, and I'm keeping the kids. The kids are Frost Giant Studios. I am on the edge of my seat waiting for that RTS game. If you want to know more about how terrible the microtransactions are in Diablo Immortal, I recommend The Immoral Design of Diablo Immortal by Josh Strife Hayes. It's a fantastic video made by a fantastic YouTuber, and Bellular has made a few videos about the game that go more in depth about how evil this game is. Now to make a video about an actual video game. That will be out soon, so subscribe for that. Call me Uncle Brian and don't use your phone while driving.